The Master Phil in Your Corner podcast is brought to you by philross.com. Books, videos, Master Phil's survival strong living supplements, as well as self-reliance and performance enhancement presentations. It is also brought to you by the Bodybell method, workshops and certifications, the world's only kettlebell, bodyweight, and dynamic tension system that carries continuing education credits for trainers, instructors, coaches, doctors of physical therapy, and chiropractors. In-person and virtual options are available. Please visit bodybellmethod.com. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Master Phil in Your Corner. This is episode number 130. And before we get into our program here, I want to make an announcement that there will be a seminar for chiropractors and physical therapists to earn credits through the Institute of Continuing Education. It's a 1-hour webinar on Tuesday night, June 24th from 7 to 8 p.m. That's Eastern Daylight Time. Okay, now we're going to get into this. This is going to be a very fun podcast, and we have a couple of great guests. We have two today, not just one, we have two. And we're going to get into something. It's called Bodybuilding with Bells. And we're going to go and introduce a couple of people here. One of them is a repeat offender. This is Marty Gallagher. Marty is the godfather of American powerlifting. If you're in weight training, you've been in it for any amount of time, you'll know his name. He's authored many books. We have, I think, 12 in total between print and ebooks. He has done hundreds and hundreds of articles from Muscle and Fitness to the Iron Company, Milo, Powerlifting USA, so forth and so on. He not only talks about it, but he walks the walk, being a multiple-time national world champion and training record holders in the discipline of powerlifting. And then we have a new person here. We have a new guest. This, I call him the Beast of the Beltway. So Darius Gilbert and I met well over a decade ago. We had the pleasure of working together at an RKC certification. The guy is incredibly impressive. He owns Dynamic Sport Performance in New Alexandria, Virginia, and he's training people and spreading the wealth and knowledge every day. And guys, welcome to the podcast.
Good to be here, Phil.
Thank you for having us, Mr. Phil, man. I'm excited to be here today. And yeah, man, this is going to be cool. Thank you. Thanks again.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know, it's really funny because a few months ago, Marty reached out to me and he said, Phil, I'm working with Darius. And, you know, he said, we're coming up with this thing. We were thinking about this new type of way to look at training with kettlebells, go after a new population, you know, using kettlebells for bodybuilding. I immediately started laughing. I go, Marty, guess what? Check out my YouTube channel. I started a thing, Bodybuilding with Bells, and I did a whole thing on, it's called Your Squat Sucks, bench press is BS, your deadlift is dumb, your press doesn't impress me, and your row is ridiculous. Now, I'm not really ragging on the
oh my God,
the weight training exercise, you know, with the bars.
Talk about a grumpy old man.
I know, right? Oh my God, Percy and I always rip on each other.
Stay off my lawn, kid.
Get off my lawn. But the thing is, I'm trying to show people that there's other things to do other than our standard barbell, and which, you know, I do love barbells, but you know, especially machines, kind of getting away from those things. In my estimation, you should melt down all the machines and make them into kettlebells and weights. But yeah, it's me.
But I had an idea that they should hook up every stationary bike, every step mill, what other stationary bikes, they should hook them up to a like a central generator and have free electricity for poor people.
Why not? Do something useful with them. Yeah.
Oh,
The
All
gyro.
right. Well, Phil, Darius and I have been plotting for 10 years, and basically our whole deal is strength.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. Now, at some point, in order to improve your strength, you got to go outside strength to improve strength. You can only rearrange the contents of the box so often, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And at that point, then you get into like, well, how do I get stronger? Maybe I could quit being so fat, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe I could, be able to, just get stronger or whatever your weak point is. Attack your weak points. Don't stop continually playing to your strengths,
Mm-hmm.
right? So our idea was, okay, strength in real world. Darius and I live in the empirical world. We're not academics, never have been. Although Darius did great. You got a college degree, right?
no, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you and me.
I tried, though. I tried.
I flunked off my high school football team 2 years in a row.
Yes.
Oh my God. My father he was so pissed. So what we in real world, we decided that, really there are the good, easy way to think about strength, Phil, and I know you agree with this, is that you have three separate and distinct types. You have what we call absolute strength, and that includes isometric strength, and that's like the power lifter, short, massive payloads, short distances, no regard for velocity, just, pull something heavy home, low reps. And that's like the equivalent of torque in a truck, right? Torque, like 600 foot-pounds of torque to pull a stump out of the ground, right? And then you have explosive strength. And then you moderate the payload, but you maximize the velocity, right? And it's a long range of motion. And that's kettlebells and Olympic weightlifting and, leaping up in the air and just explosive strength. And also an interesting fact about explosive strength is that essentially there's no negative, right? There's no eccentric, right? But the everything is the concentric, the explosive concentric. Then you have sustained strength. So you've got absolute strength, explosive strength, and then sustained strength, MMA training, wrestling, right? The ability to put out over protracted periods of time. Well, anyway, he and I were, we were always talking because between the two of us, we had all the bases covered because I had the absolute base covered. And then he had the explosive and the sustained strength. I said we should meld it up. But our sticking point was the barbell. There was no crossover. So then it was like, all right, back to the drawing board. And then it was like, well, okay, is there a way to take absolute strength training principles and make them work with kettlebells, keeping in mind they don't make no 400-pound kettlebells?
No.
So then it becomes a game of, well, how can we disadvantage these leverages to such a degree that a 70-pound ass on heels goblet squat will give a 400-pound squatter all he can handle?
Yeah.
Is there a way to do that? And the answer is, yeah, there is. But you got to use really specific techniques and just, and all kinds of tricks. So that's where we've been at, Darius, right?
Yes. Yep. I think I've been trying to, over the years, I've always, Marty's my mentor, and I owe him everything, and always tried to figure out how could we create this absolute strength with kettlebells. And Phil, I think if you've been with kettlebells long enough, I think there's some ways and some ways to actually get it done.
Yes.
I think Marty talks about tactics a lot of time, and I think using leverage, self-limiting type of exercises, tempo, rep scheme,
pauses.
All of those things are really, really important. And last but not least, if we wanted to make anything really, really challenging and heavy, we could just turn a kettlebell upside down. I always say, I've never seen anybody do any bottoms up work with a 106. When people say, oh, you can't get strong with kettlebells, I like say, well, turn this 106 upside down and let me see you squat it. Even Kirk Kowalski, our great friend, the strongest squad in the world, I think that would even challenge him. And so, and I think, you know, and this is what we tried to create. And it's and I love the way, you know, people are like, is it this way or that way? I'm like, no. We train all three.
Always.
All three. You know, it's an absolute day. We have an explosive day, and we have a sustained day. And this is the way we check off all the boxes.
No chinks in the armor.
No chinks in the armor. We recover. We keep the reps really low. Quality reps and intensity are important.
And Marty only needs them 1 day a week.
1 day a week, and I think
that's all I need.
And you know, and it really works, especially with this day and age. Me working with a lot of adults and athletes. You know, periodization has become tougher and tougher and tougher. And so, what's most important? That's what we want to do. We want to work on the most important attributes that help you create this absolute strength, that help you to be more explosive, but also to increase your muscular and cardiovascular endurance as well. And so this 3-day template, and you know, that Marty and I have been using, it's something I've been using for a long time actually, with my clients and athletes. Just the absolute part, Marty's really opened my eyes of how I can make it better and better and better. And so that's what we've been working on.
More horrible and more horrible and more horrible.
When I think about what we do, I always want to make sure my clients have options. And the kettlebells give us options.
Yes.
Meaning we could go anywhere and do it. You could do it at home. There are no excuses built in. If you walk inside this door right there, you'll see 20 kettlebells at my front door. So there are no excuses for me not to be in shape, because I'm going to look at those bells every day. And so we figured, hey, let's make sure we can provide options for anybody, and everywhere that they go, they can train and use our principles and our programming. And so, we've come up with this KBSTT, and I love it. And man, I'm behind it. We want to take it to, I want to take it to physical therapists, training groups, and even I would love to see gyms take on this type of program that we created. And so it's nice to be here with you and to be able to chat about it a little bit. And hopefully we can get some steam going. But this is it here. This is after 22 years of training, I think this is the best programming I've put together. And so we're really excited about it, man.
It's very consistent with, what I've been doing. And the thing is that, I do have obviously the empirical knowledge in addition to, having I've read a couple of books too. I got a couple of degrees here and there. So
Phil, own up to your past, back when you used to be the barbell boy back at University of Maryland, bouncing at the VU.
Is that College Park Field? Are you kidding? Is that College Park Field?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I like you for something, man.
I was a bouncer there. I mean, I bounced there for years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Phil was a good barbell man.
Oh, I bet. No doubt.
I was actually this is kind of funny. It's because when I was in 1987, I ran a 5K in 17 minutes, 50 seconds. And I was about 180 pounds. And that same year, a month before that, I won a powerlifting meet totaling 1,400 pounds.
Yep. Wow. There you go.
So it's like two totally different things. So I realized I wasn't going to be a world champion either one, so I just stayed with my fighting. There's no way. I'm not built to run marathons or anything like that. And I just
you made the right decision.
Just a quick thing on that, Phil. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's a couple of things I think I said to our workshop. And sometimes I have to be careful saying things to runners because, again, I don't want to offend them. But a famous coach, LSU, Bruce Nader, he always said he said that if you wanted to find out who your most powerful athletes are, have them run a mile. Whoever comes in last is probably your most powerful athlete. and I tell everybody, these runners, I'm like, well, I'll come in last. I promise you, I'll come in last. If we run a mile, I'll come in last. I'm not built for it. So I think that's pretty important. And then the next one that we talk about is old Bum Phillips, the former coach for the Houston Oilers. He talked about Earl Campbell, and the media were saying Earl, they heard that Earl had done really bad in his mile testing. And Bum said, well, when it's fourth in a mile, we won't give it to Earl. And so those things start to make sense to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you understand that, that helps with your programming, and you just can't
Absolutely.
choose these totally, total different parts of the spectrum goals. You just
Yep.
can't,
Yep.
you can't do it all.
It's
And
not going
so
to
I think
happen.
what
Yeah.
we've done is kind of, it kind of, it makes you strong, it makes you
Mm-hmm.
explosive, and you also have this endurance, this game
Mm-hmm.
time conditioning that you just wouldn't get any other way. So
It's kind of funny because I want to bring a point to help solidify or put maybe some people's minds at ease here. My nephew, I've trained him for years since he was like eighth grade or whatever. Now he's going into his junior year. He plays Division I football, and he's first team All State New Jersey defensive end his senior year. And he said, "Oh, Unc, I have to do power cleans." I'm like, "Yeah, okay. I've never done them before." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And he was like getting kind of upset with me because I was just saying whatever. And I go, "Come on, let's go." So we went to the garage, grabbed the bar, and I coached him through. He had to do 2 1/4, when he got there. And by the end of the session,
pretty damn
he was
heavy.
repping it like nothing. He goes,
mm,
"How come you knew I'd be able to do that?" I go, "Man, I've been training you with kettlebells for like 7, 8 years already.
yeah,
I know you're not gonna have an issue with this. You have all I gotta do is teach you the mechanics of the power clean."
wow,
And
On a different tool.
exactly, because you have the knowledge, you have the ability.
And
Now,
he has the explosiveness.
that's it. I just had to teach him the technique, which
Yeah.
took no time at all.
Right.
The thing that people have a problem with when they're squatting and trying to get heavy with kettlebells is the fact that they can't hold a rack very well. It's the arm
yeah,
strength. So
Yeah.
they that's one of the things that I'll what I like doing is I'll use single arm rack.
mm-hmm,
Because sometimes holding the two is tough. And another thing is that people will tend to bring their elbow up. What I have them do, I have them take the elbow and kick it forward,
yeah,
especially when we're down the bottom. That's
mm-hmm,
one of the things to do to keep that heavy bell there. But I'll tell you, in my heyday in a competition, I could squat 5 1/4, and I take two 70 pound to 32 kgs and do that for 5 or 10 reps. I get smoked, smoked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you? Yeah. The things that you have to understand the goals of the person. Listen, if I have an NFL lineman, I gotta throw him. I gotta throw him on a bar.
yes, yes,
I
yeah,
mean,
yes,
can I get someone very strong and in shape? Can we do that with kettlebells? Yes.
yeah,
But you know what? When you want to be lineman big like that,
oh yeah,
you,
oh yeah.
you have to.
I always qualify that. Like, who are you working with? If I have a lineman, he's I gotta give him barbell work.
Gotta.
I mean, there's no option to it. And
Yeah.
so, I think, but how many of us
Yeah,
are
but
training people who are 6'5", 6'6", 320,
yeah.
20 pounds? Like,
Right.
there aren't that
And
many out there for us to train. So,
and
Right.
even them, you got to insist upon pristine technique. Otherwise, they get wrong strong.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
correct.
I find that I can't tell you how many of the athletes that I'm training some guys right now, extremely high level, that have been wrong strong,
Oh yeah.
and I
And
have to
then
go back and fix all this crap.
and it has no. Then there has no. The strength they have has no athletic applicability. See, we're about athletes. We're about
Yes,
building athletes.
yes,
That's what we do. Okay. And whether it's tier one military or elite. But nowadays I get the biggest kick out of working with normal people because nobody makes faster progress than an untrained individual that suddenly trains smart and consistently.
How
yeah.
do they love you?
They
Uh,
do.
uh,
I am loved.
yeah, right. It's about
I
time, right? It's about time.
I am the Ricardo Montalban of
Yes,
the
you are.
elder set.
Yes,
Okay.
you are.
Suave Bola.
You guys
Yes,
are gonna
you
love
are.
this. I had this 74-year-old client came to me about a year ago, right? He put on 7 pounds of muscle.
Good for him.
He is obsessed with my kettlebell training. I have
He
Mm,
should
his
be. He should
posture is
be.
fixed.
Change his life.
He's 160 something pounds.
Yep.
He is doing a get up now with weight, 18
Yeah.
pounder.
Yeah.
Most people 74 can't get up off the darn couch without help.
yeah,
They can't get off the floor.
No.
The floor is their enemy.
Yes. And
And we teach them, Phil, wait till you see us stretch their tight asses out, right, Darius?
That's right.
Like it or not, baby.
I think functional strength. We've heard it before, but it really is the word for me.
Cliche. It's such a cliche.
Does it actually help you?
Yeah.
I'll give the story of, Marty knows that I trained under John Gamble, who is a friend of Marty's, who,
Darius was a D1 player at Virginia. He trained under world champion John Gamble, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Not only Hall of Fame powerlifter, but also Hall of Fame strength coach at Virginia for 10 years. You know why I left, Darius? Because they wouldn't give him a car.
I heard, and what a bad.
He was the only coach they didn't give a car. He said he would have stayed. So then he went to Miami, and lasted under 3 different coaches.
Yeah.
Ended up in the Strength Coach Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah. And so I was blessed at an early age. I didn't know it at the time. I knew it. I'm sorry, I can't say that. I did know it. He's like a father figure to me. But I just, I remember. I now look back at.
Have you ever met a scarier looking human in your life than Gamble at his peak?
No. He's the scariest. I used to always think he had like on butt pads or something. You know what I mean? Like his butt looked fake. His hands were the size of he was just unbelievable. He's like a made up character.
880 squat, 580 bench raw, and consistently 850, 840 deadlift. World champion. No one could touch him.
Yeah. And he was just the thing I loved about Gamble so much, first of all, he was a father figure to everybody. And I just think, any football team that has somebody like John Gamble on the team, you've already won a tough battle, because everybody loves him and they'll go to war for this guy. And so he was just a special guy. Yep. But he taught, even the strongest guys, it was all about technique. We had to, it was always technique. It was never. I don't care how much you squat or bench, like you have to, when it comes to cleans, there's a technique, there's an archetype that we're looking for.
Yep.
And he stressed that to us over and over. I mean, I was around guys who were, just some of the strongest human beings you ever see. Mind you, I didn't start lifting weights until I committed to play football at UVA. I was a 3-sport athlete, so I never really had time to lift weights. Once I went on my visit, I saw how big and strong everybody was. I was like, okay, well, I got to get in the weight room. Now, let me tell you, this is where it all awakened for me. And I got just lifted heavy. And so I put on like 20 pounds during a winter. And once I, it was crazy. Shakes, meat, so much protein, but I wasn't sprinting. And so once I got to school, I was strong, but I was slow. And they made me lose all that weight. That's the first time I've ever been put on, you have to lose weight. You're a shell of yourself. And so, I
they said, Darius, we think about shifting you from wide out to tight end.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I was like this little wide receiver, punt returner. People say me and they're like, oh, you play linebacker? I'm like, oh God.
He's so strong safety. He's our strong safety.
But it taught me about strength field and, functional strength.
Yeah. Functional strength.
What is this strength doing? Is it the go muscles or the show muscles?
Yep.
Or is it propelling me forward or slowing me down, weighing me down? And so I think that was, learning under Gamble. That was the biggest lesson I learned. All that weight training is pointless if it's not in the right places and it doesn't have this explosive strength, this sustained strength.
And we're not there to turn you into a power lifter.
Right.
I turned myself into a power lifter.
We just want to make you strong as possible. And there's a point where you don't really need to get any stronger.
Exactly.
Do you really need more than a 600-pound deadlift? You know what I mean? At some point, it's like,
you have
get faster,
returns.
brother.
At some point, you have diminishing returns.
Exactly.
And at some point, it's actually going to interfere with what your goal is. Like, what is your goal? Look, you know that if you can squat, let's say 400 pounds, it helps your 100, right?
That's good.
Now,
That's good.
If you're at 500 pounds, well, maybe it's slowing your 100
pounds.
Yeah. What's your goal? And that's the thing. People have to stay attuned to this. Like here, when we say functional training, we know what we're talking about, but many people have no idea what they're talking about.
That's right.
We speak functional training. Okay, why functional training? I get a headache. Okay? They stand on a Bosu doing curls.
Yeah.
What is that functional? I mean, what am I going to curl someone on my bed? I don't understand. I mean, what is the function you're getting here?
Oh, you sound like a grumpy old man.
I am. I am. Oh
Gil,
yeah, I am.
Gil.
I tell you, Percy and I like rag on each other all the time. You don't know Darius. You don't know know Percy, but Percy, we're like, get off your lawn. We're like angry, grumpy. Like I'm sick of the nonsense. But you know, tell me where I'm wrong on this. You know, look, function. You're a wrestler. Let's say you have to take people down, hold them down, and get out.
Yeah.
What else matters?
Yeah.
So train for that.
Yep.
Why would I be standing on a BOSU doing something?
Well,
don't get it.
On the one hand. On the other hand, I think a lot of guys have a chink in their armor because they say, for example, we don't need that type of strength. Yeah, you do. Yeah. I would offer this up. Sugar Ray Leonard and Mike Tyson are the same height. Yeah. What's the difference? Right.
Power.
Yeah. And 70 pounds of muscle.
Right.
Most of it in his back and his legs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And because we know the power grows from the ground upward. And so, again, we don't want any chinks in our armor. Also, the absolute strength thing, two things I would say in its defense. Number one, I only need your ass one time a week for about an hour. And then get on your way, go do your sustained strength, go do your explosive strength, go do your drills, go play your sport.
Yeah.
But we will periodize that. We're minimalists, Phil. We're minimalists. We're minimalists. We do fewer things better. Right. Yes. And we have it down to 4 core lifts. We want some version of a on your feet, standing overhead press, barbells, dumbbells, we don't care. We want some variation of a squat, front squat, back squat, goblet squat, some variation of a squat. We're talking ass on heels now. You're not going to like how deep we squat. And there's going to be some variation of a flat bench, and there's going to be some variation of a deadlift. We have 5 variations of each of these 4 lifts. Anything past that, that's great. You want to do some arms, you want to do some, rows, that's great. But the core 4, that's the meat and potatoes. Everything else is dessert.
How about
and we push them too. For 15 years, Phil, I have worked with a bunch of local guys up here in this neighborhood.
Oh, I know.
One time a week, Sunday, we get together for 2 hours, and we have cranked out just everybody who adheres to this. And what do? They squat, they bench, they deadlift, they overhead press one time a week. Then they get on with their lives.
Yep.
Because they all work at at Walmart, and they have 4 kids, and they got soccer practice and this, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they have big full damn lives, and so they can slice out 2 hours one time a week, and we make them stronger, brother. Yep. Irrefutably, because we send them into powerlifting competitions, and they kick ass. And these are all 100% drug-free local guys that muscle up. And that's all we need them. And they don't spend the 2 hours there. There's some bullshit. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Honest to God, stripped down training, maybe 45 minutes a week to get through 4 lifts, depending on how strong you are.
Yeah.
The weaker you are, the quicker it takes to get through. I mean, you can get through 3 sets of squats, 3 sets of benches, 3 sets of deads, 3 sets of overhead presses, total 12 sets. You're done for the week. Yeah. And we make you stronger. We give you that Tyson stuff.
Yeah. That's what people need. We pause for 1 second.
Okay. If you don't get grumpy on us, okay. Yeah.
Thanks. And we're back.
Yes. Yeah.
Nature calls.
Phil, I just wanted to piggyback off, what we've been talking about, and just some of the things that I've seen. And one of the fastest ways that I think, not that I think, that I know, of getting people really, really strong, especially these guys with these, we had a guy who, was probably, 650 squatter,
damn,
at UVA, but he never played though. And so, and so that's what I mean. Like his strength didn't transfer. And, I bet.
Darius, let me just interject really, really quick.
Go ahead.
If you are a big, strong, uncoordinated dude and you do a lot of weight training,
Yeah.
you will be an enhanced, big, strong, uncoordinated dude.
Yeah. Yep. Now, again, we let him get off the bus first because he was so big and scary.
Yeah.
He was scared of the other team, but he never got in the game. And this is what I mean. Again, that's another lesson learned when I was 19 years old. Like, okay, this guy's look like Zeus. He's scary as hell, but he's one of the worst football players I've ever seen. And so you think about that, and I just think about at the time, just thinking if I could go back and see how well he could do standing on one leg. You know what I mean? On one foot. You know what I mean? I know there was nothing.
You were never going to make him an athlete.
Yeah, and I knew there was
never going to happen.
That's funny that you bring that up because I was coaching the UFC a number of years ago, probably maybe like 15 years ago, whatever. And we're down in one of the shows in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the trainers, you go out to the bar after, you know, before the fight, you're hanging out. And now I was there and those guys, I was already in my late 40s. And these guys were, you know, like 20s, late 20s, early 30s, both squatting over 650. We're hanging out in the bar. And I got my beer. And I'm like, okay. I go, can you do this? So I'm holding my beer, pop a pistol, pop up, and go. Both of them fell down trying.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, how's that helping you?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so think about what requires from a pistol. I mean, for me, I'm looking at it as a performance exercise, like an ankle, knee, hip, trunk. You know, that's what I'm thinking about. And if you lack those, then how good are you going to be in an athletic endeavor? And so, you know, there's another phrase that I like to use at the time you spoke about the BOSU. And Mike Davis caught me, and I have to give Mike Davis caught me at Gold's Gym training people on the BOSU, thinking I'm the functional guy. He's like, get the hell off that. Don't let me see you do that again. Next thing you know, I'm in the squat rack doing rack pulls, floor press, and back squats.
Yeah.
But, you know, the phrase that we like to use is you can't shoot a cannon from a canoe.
That's right.
And so there's no stability. And so if you're on wobbly stuff, how much force can you possibly produce? And again, it's about force. We know sports sprinting, whether it's punch, any sport, is about how much force, how rapidly you can produce that force. And so, I mean, again, just misguided stuff at the time, maybe a product of what was happening in the fitness industry at the time. But I can tell you now, it's shoes off, it's produce as much force as you can, it's rest, get on one foot, recover. You know, it's become, you know, as you and Marty know, over time, it's really, really simple. And once you figure it out, and that comes through experience. So.
Well, you know, and the thing is that, you know, a lot of these sports specific guys like hate me.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them. Look, there's a long list, but you know, if you look at it, what level do you really need sports specific training?
Yeah.
Most of these kids do not need it. Just give them general purpose. Preparedness. Get them strong. Let them play the sport. Get strong. Like I like that 3 days a week thing, you know, because I've kind of honed in on that as well.
Yeah.
Where I'm doing the strength training 3 days a week, mixing in. Some days are heavy, some explosive, some more endurance, muscular endurance based. I'll tell you, you know what? Look what we're doing. Look, is someone a weightlifter, a powerlifter, bodybuilder, or are they an athlete training for a sport or just training for life? What are you training to do? Like here, you know, look, if you're a bodybuilder or if you have an injury, yes, okay, maybe you have to look for the symmetry. So I have to do a little more calves, a little more quads, whatever it is, a little more pecs, whatever it is. But if you're an average person and you're thinking about functionality, when we walk, do we isolate? Do we isolate our gastrocs? No.
No.
Right? You walk, use the whole right leg. So you know, what are you training for? What are your goals? You know, so this is, and this, I mean, it seems like, you know, we have all come to the same conclusion from different areas, you know, which is pretty cool. So it's either we're all geniuses or we're all psychotic, or maybe a mix of the two. I have no idea.
It's the old cliche, great minds think alike. Well, we have a saying that we follow where results lead.
That's right. That's right.
So
follow the results.
Yeah, we follow where results lead. That's what we do our whole life. So I would say this, though. I think that one differentiation that needs to be made is pure bodybuilding resistance training is so not what we do.
Yeah.
Because the current methodology, and actually the methodology that dates back for decades, is they have, number one, the amount of volume that they use, the frequency. Volume's insane. I mean, they will do 4 to 5 exercises per body part, 4 to 5 sets per exercise. But here's the kicker. And they'll also do 2 to 3 body parts per session. Now, they'll also train a muscle 3 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week. Right. And here's the kicker. They only allow 45 seconds to 1 minute rest between sets. So that crushes any poundage handling ability right there.
You're not getting
So you're going to be using pee-wee poundage over an extended period, a lot of different exercises, a lot of volume. So it's pump, 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 pump. This is why they load up on glycogen heading into the workout, because they want that pump. And when glycogen is exhausted, they can't get the pump. And that's when most pros will end the workout. If the glycogen runs out and they can't get the pump, because the pump, what it's like, remember when we were kids, we pump up the bicycle with the foot pump, right? Yeah. You keep doing it, doing it, doing it, doing it, and doing it, and doing it, and doing it. And over time, that muscle increases. Now, a guy like Dorian Yates, he is actually a strength trainer. What he did is he basically did, and he says, oh, Arthur Jones, all this and that. Dorian is a friend of mine. He's a good dude. And I've told him this. I've even written an article about this. I said, you are not Arthur Jones. You are a powerlifter that does forced reps, and here's why. And then we went into it. And basically, it's like, the whole Nautilus theme was 1 set to failure plus forced reps and negatives.
Yeah.
Right? Well, if you're benching, well, let's say you're doing, let's say you're benching, incline benching 435 for 6 reps with 2 forced reps. You don't walk in and load up the 435. You get 135, 225, 315, 365, 405,
Yeah.
Well, that ain't 1 set to failure. That's powerlifting with some forced reps on the top. And he would just work up to 1 set. There were no back down sets. There were no and the strategy was, if you increase strength, muscle size will automatically be dragged up, assuming you have perfect nutrition, which they do. They stuff themselves like sumo wrestlers 6 times a day, eating. Jay Cutler was eating 1,000 grams of carbohydrates every day. 1,000 grams.
Wow.
He was eating. Ronnie Coleman was eating 16 ounces of protein 6 times a day, which is 42. That's 42 pounds a week. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so it's like
that food bill.
I don't care about the food bill. I mean, if they did that to prisoners at Guantanamo Bay, they'd be arrested for war crimes.
Oh yeah,
right. That's horrible. And again, it's like a sumo wrestler, except they're eating clean food. They, chicken and rice, and that's pretty much it. Anyway, but I'm just saying, Phil, when you talk about bodybuilding, yes, that I think is excellent in terms of drawing eyes and attracting attention. But really what we're doing is we're doing bodybuilding. We're mimicking bodybuilding movements, exercises, but we're using strength tactics.
Yes.
In bodybuilding, any increase in strength is purely coincidental. It's not. I mean, it's just, whatever.
Yeah.
In strength training, any muscle gain is purely coincidental. And it's also dependent on your nutrition.
Yeah.
If you're eating light and lean, you ain't going to gain a lot of mass getting stronger. On the other hand, if you're looking to get heavier, you up your protein, you take in a surplus of clean fuel, and you'll add some size if that's your purpose. Oh, I keep getting knocked around, and I play rugby, and they keep running over me. Well, maybe it's because you're 6'3" and you weigh 165 pounds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to be a rugby player. Well, I think you need to get some cheeseburgers and some squats and let's go, buddy.
Yep.
Go see Marty once a week.
Very, very simple.
So you have to slap on some mass. You know what I noticed too? Yeah, I know you probably noticed as well. The bodybuilders who are more the power lifters, that happen to bodybuild, they have to me they have like a denser muscle. Yeah, it's like whereas the other guys that use the high rep, high volume.
Oh yeah,
like more puffy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mitochondria building. That's
it's crazy.
They're a little different. Phils, one thing I wanted to say about your Marty and I's programming is that one thing that we see that I've seen is that the recovery aspect of it all is very very important. So when we think of training, whether it be absolute explosive or maybe not so much on a sustained day, but like we need you to recover so you can give us all out effort. And so how many people even think about that? They say the best track coaches look like they don't know what they're doing because they take 20-25 minutes in between sets. Well, that's exactly what it's supposed to be. And so Marty and I really give, the reps are really, really low, but the quality is really, really high. That's the relationship that needs to be mastered. And when we do that, we're managing cortisol at the same time. We're not doing more than we're supposed to be doing. And so I can come back. For me, I'm every day doing something every day. That's because my reps really, really low. So I'm not sore as hell. I can't do anything the next day. So it's cumulative over time. Like if you're only able to work out maybe 3 days a week, I'm 5'6", and it's like at the basketball court. I'm hiking, I'm walking, I'm swinging, I'm doing all kinds of other stuff.
That's right.
There's no such thing as a diet because of my activity. I'm always moving, and so we get those 3 hard days, but we want recovery. We don't, the recovery is where the magic, strong power lifters, they go on Monday and they're like, man, I haven't been in the gym for a whole week. I'm going to tear it up today. You know what I mean? Most people
at the bit.
They're going to come back stronger. And so most people don't even understand that concept. So
Phil, we picked it up actually. Charlie Francis, the sprint coach, he talked about it. He said that the thing that he picked up from the East Germans and the Russian sprinters were crushing. This is the late 60s, early 70s. They had like Valery Bortsov. This guy was a Terminator, and he just fastest man in the world. No one could touch him. These guys were all drugged up. They were Dragos. There's an army of Dragos, right? But Francis said that the biggest thing that he got was this idea that in order to increase all-out speed or strength, in order to improve strength, you have to have some sort of an expression of 102% effort when you're 100% rested.
Yes.
Okay.
And anything less, you can still generate 102% effort, but if you're 78% rested, your results will necessarily be sub-maximal.
Yep.
Well, that's like splitting the atom. Right. Yeah, that says everything. So Coach, the harder, the more intense the effort, right? You gotta be rested coming into it.
Very, very important field. Coach and I did this workshop in Tyson's a couple of weeks ago, and I asked Dr. Green. I asked her. I said, "How many?" I said, "Wow, we smoked everybody, and I think we only did like 30 reps total in an 8-hour workshop." She's like, "I thought it was like 20 reps." Think about that, right? Like 20 reps cumulative total done with complete 100% intensity with 102% recovery, and we smoked them. And so again, if you've done it that way, it's the only way to go. I can't do it any other way.
We smoked them in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah.
So if you understand that recovery and give intent, they go hand in hand. The kettlebell requires just so much, coordination and activation, total muscle coordination that you don't have to do as much, which is exactly what we're looking for.
Exactly.
How can we get the most out of the least, as coaches coined everybody's using on the internet. So I think that's really important.
That is, I always call kettlebell training the type that we do is best bang for the buck.
Yes, by far.
Best bang for the buck.
And what's the most results you can get for the least amount of effort?
Right?
That's right. That's right.
It's funny. I had a conversation with Marty shortly after we opened up on COVID, because during COVID, what I did was I kept my people going. I gave them 2 kettlebells, a medium and a large.
Mm-hmm.
I only used a 28 kg and a 16 kg and body weight exercise for almost 4 months.
You made it work. You made it work.
Yeah. And I said, Marty, how did I get stronger? I mean, those aren't really big weights at all.
No.
I got stronger. My overall body strength had improved.
And how did you do that? Because you figured out how to disadvantage those things.
Yep.
And how to make your leverage so horrible that it was like a house.
Yeah. And I guarantee it transferred to your barbell lifts. And this is another thing we want to talk about with powerlifters. Like these kettlebell exercises expose your weaknesses, turn them into strengths, and they transfer to your lifts. 100%. And I always say, just add it. No one's telling you to replace, to take everything we do and replace what you do. No. Just give it a shot and see how it enhances what you do.
Boom.
And so I think that's really important.
100%. 100%. Good. You guys, so now you had well, I know we're gonna have a meeting in the mines at Marty's.
Sure.
We'll schedule that up. That'll be a lot of fun. Is there anything that you guys have to promote before we sign off here, or do you got any more workshops coming up, or anything that you want to? I know, Darius. You got your gym.
Yes.
You have dynamic sport performance. You do one-on-ones, you do classes and so forth as well too, right?
Yes, sir. And so basically right now, Phil, we got a lot of things we're working on. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. Yeah. Got some camps, I would just suggest that anybody just to look me up as Coach_Darius. I mean, I don't want to take up too much of your time here explaining what we do and what we, all the things we have to offer. So you can look that up. But Marty and I are really trying to expand this Kettlebells for Sport Performance workshop, where we teach these principles. I'm linking up with some doctors and really trying to get this into the PT communities.
Oh, they love us.
And so we can, again, and we want programming. We want this to be programming for PTs post the return to play. And so I'm really dialed in on this right now. I got a couple of big time doctors who I'm going to be meeting with over the next few weeks to try to establish what we've been working on over the last few years. And so that's where my head is right now. I have camps and all that stuff going on, but I'm really excited about what Marty and I are doing. And we really want to start to, see this thing take off, because it's just special stuff.
Yeah. Well, we got class every Monday. Can they come and look at that?
Yes, Phil. And so what we would love to offer anybody who wants to get a little taste of what we do, our absolute strength day is Monday. Well, Marty just walks everybody through the techniques, tactics that we would do in our kettlebell absolute day. So any of your listeners, we would love to have you give a test drive of it. Marty and I will be launching the summer program in about 3 weeks for anybody that's interested in joining us for the full 12-week program. So have them reach out to me. I'll send them a link, and no charge. And we'd love to have them join us.
Sure. Yeah, well, just to let you know, I'll offer this up. If you want to get things recognized by the personal training organizations, not personal training, the physical therapists and so forth, let me know, because I can provide you the roadmap, because my Bodybell method is recognized by PTs and chiropractors, and I can help you with that.
We would love for that, man. So we definitely want to link up and talk to you about that. I appreciate it, Phil.
Right. Yeah, no problem. All right. Hey, guys, great to have you on.
Yeah.
This will be up, momentarily. And, I just look forward to getting together with the two of you guys very shortly.
We're going to have oxtails and dinosaur
That's
ribs.
right.
Absolutely,
That's right.
Absolutely.
Man, Phil, thanks again, man. You're the man, man. I'm telling you now, you are the man. I've always loved your work, everything that you're doing, man. And again, I just appreciate being on this podcast with you today, man. You take care of yourself, man. We'll see you soon.
You too. Coming from the beast of the Beltway, that's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, Phil. Thank you,
All
brother.
right,
See you guys.
All right,
Let's
boy.
link up.
Strength and
All right,
honor,
bye-bye.
guys. Strength and honor.
Bye-bye.
Take care.